And welcome to another edition of the Sartorial Geek Podcast by Webster Style, where we talk about bow ties, comic books, and everything in between. I'm your host, Webster Style, the man, the voice, the fragrance, coming back one more time. And of course, let's jump right into the download. Now, this week we have an oldie, but a goodie, especially with the release of its sequel coming out later on this month. And I'm talking about none other than Star Wars Jedi The Fallen Order, and it's appropriate because today we had a big Star Wars celebration where they released a bunch of trailers for new films, new television shows, and announced some new films. So if you are a Star Wars fan, it is a very good time to be a Star Wars fan, especially in the month of April and going forward the rest of the year and the rest of the few years with some of the announcements of these movies. But let's talk about Jedi Fallen Order. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was released in 2019, so it's an oldie. It's an action-adventure game developed by Respawn and published by Electronic Arts. The story is set in the Star Wars universe, so this is after Order 66, 5 years after the events of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. It follows Jedi Padawan Cal Kestis, who becomes a target of the Galactic Empire, as you can imagine, with a 66 and everything, and is hunted throughout the galaxy by the Imperial Inquisitors while attempting to complete his training, reconcile with his troubled past, and rebuild the fallen Jedi Order. The player can use Kestis' lightsaber and force powers to defeat enemies, including stormtroopers, wild beasts, and bounty hunters. The game adopts a Metroidvania-style level design where new areas are accessed as Cal unlocks skills and abilities. Now, this is a game that has been my radar since 2019, but is one that I had not pulled the trigger on, particularly because of my backlog, which I've talked about before. And with that, I never got into it. It's been on Xbox Live, not Xbox Arcade or Game Pass, via EA Play. But I ended up picking it up because up until the time of this recording, I think the sale is done, they were offering the game for just the low sale price of $3.99. And at a price like that, I could not pass it up. Right now, I have just some brief impressions of the game. It's absolutely stunning. It's a game that very much takes some of its cues from the Souls games with its playstyle. It's not as difficult, but you definitely get that Respawn was inspired by the gameplay of the Souls series, Elden Ring, things of that nature. I am pretty sure with the sequel coming out, and especially with all the spring sales going on right now, if you haven't picked it up now, you'll definitely find it on sale, if not digitally, physically somewhere during the month of April. So that's my take on Star Wars Jedi The Fallen Order. Next up, we have an interview with Laurie Calcaterra, who is the creator of the comic book The Path of the Pale Rider. Basically, I'll put it if you ever watched Torchwood and you watched the last series and you know that death, just nobody could die. It's a similar presence, but in this case, this is a world where death has simply stopped, meaning that the body may die, but the soul may still go on, and parts are moving, but there's still that decay of what happens after the body dies. So because of that, the system just totally breaks and society pretty much goes to shit. So check out this interview with Laurie as she is talking about their upcoming release, or well, current release at the time of this recording, for the Kickstarter for issue 3 of Path of the Pale Rider. Everybody, it's Webster Style, the man, the voice, the fragrance. We're here with another creator, Laurie Calcaterra of the Path of the Pale Rider. Laurie, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Now, tell us about Path of the Pale Rider.
So Path of the Pale Rider is a Western apocalypse comic book series where death has been broken. So what I mean by that is your body can die, but your soul, your energy, your consciousness, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't leave your body upon your death. So you get to hang out and enjoy your own decay phase, and your brain literally rots in your skull. So we have, I know, I was like, we have undead, but they're not like flesh craving, brain eating zombies. It's you, it's me, it's your neighbor, your mom, but slowly becoming more and more chaotic because they're use less and less of their brain. So forgetful, violent, detached. They mirror more like the decline of a dementia or Alzheimer's person in fast forward in the beginning.
Okay. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a different premise, because when I think of even where the brain is still active when it comes to zombies, you always have to go to Return of the Living Dead, especially when they have the scene of the zombie and the cadaver talking about, they ask them, why do you eat brains? To stop the suffering. And, most, I don't say lots, but a lot of films in the zombie genre don't necessarily look at that aspect of, there's still brain function. How does that really correspond with the decay of the body? So I think that's a very interesting premise, especially since they're not the flesh eating, but there's a what is the line, the Return of the Living Dead or the Night of the Living Dead, anyway, I forget the line about hell being full soul, being full soul, the living walk the earth. And that's literally what it's like.
When hell is full, the dead will walk the earth.
Yeah.
It could be something like that. You never know. But the whole point is we start the story 10 years into this apocalypse. Okay. And it's not just people that can be undead. It's animals, insects, fish, everything. Death is broken. Okay. So nothing can truly leave ever. And it creates a lot of problems. Things have devolved back to the Wild West.
Okay.
So that's the Western aspect of it. So 10 years into this, our main guy is a cowboy, and he's kind of the last guy still looking for the answer to what started this all, what broke death, why do the dead no longer die? With any kind of crisis, there's only so long people can take it until they're just like, I just don't care. I want to move on, right? I mean, we just did that in 2020 where it was like, all right, I'm done with this. We're done with COVID. Let's move on. But he's still determined to find the answer, and he's been looking. So issue 1 is very much about Jude St. Clair, who is the cowboy, how terrible the world is and how any little decision you make can have dire consequences. So issue 2, we went to a town called Santa Claus. It's a real town in Arizona. It's a ghost town. It's really fun. So he ends up in this town looking for something or somebody, finds it, and it turns out to be way different than what he was expecting. Both of those issues have killer endings. When you read them, you either get mad at me and throw your comic, or you'll just be like, Laurie, I need the next one. It's one or the other. So don't hate me, and also don't get too attached to anybody, because we kill a lot of people. The series.
Oh, as should be the case in any zombie movie. Don't get attached.
Exactly. But I mean, like, they can still come back as an undead person. So it's just because they're dead doesn't mean that they're out of the story.
So you've launched issue 3 on Kickstarter.
Yes, we launched on Monday.
Okay.
We're at 90% already.
Yeah, I saw them. Like, you guys are almost there in just a couple of days. So congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. I am flabbergasted. This is the first one that's been like really taken off. So I'm just so grateful for everybody that showed up on day 1. And we're going to, find some more people who want to go along for the idea. Absolutely.
Now, let me ask you, where did the idea for Path of the Pale Rider come from?
So, okay. I started writing this series back in 2018. And what I was doing prior to writing was choreographing fight scenes and doing stunts for a production company in Detroit called Coattail Collective. Okay. And I was writing web content for them and had this idea, like, what would happen if death was broken? Where would we all go if no one could leave, kind of thing. And built the whole world, spent a lot of time thinking about pretty much every aspect you can think of. How would humans react? How would animals react? all of that before I even conceived of the story. Had to come up with like what actually happened so that there was a problem to solve. It's just, I grew up watching Westerns with my dad. Clint Eastwood movies, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, The Pale Rider. They call me Trinity. So many good Westerns, specifically the spaghetti Western genre.
Right.
And that I think kind of influenced me to like apocalypse movies as well. Because if you think about a Western, it's like, it's lawless, limited resources. A lot of times they're wearing what they need. So to me, I was like, yeah, I just put that together. Like, it makes sense that I would also like apocalypse genre. I like those situations because it kind of puts someone in a crucible. It puts them in the hot seat where they have to make decisions they probably wouldn't have to make. So that's what I wanted for my character, to be able to move through this lawless place in a situation that is very difficult, and see what decisions they make and see if they can stick around long enough to find the answer. So it's a wild ride.
Yeah, I think that offers a lot of moral conundrums, environmental conundrums. It really, in some respects, you think characters in that situation start to ask, okay, what really makes us human? What makes us us?
Exactly. Is it important to be alive? Is it important to be alive in this world anymore if you can continue?
Right.
And then we were talking about, this comes up a lot, but we talk about food in this world. Because if animals, it's the same situation, like you can kill an animal, but they're still active. How do you butcher a cow if it's still moving? And then when you go to eat your hamburger, it's still moving. No, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not eating a quivering burger. Not on my list.
Yeah, that's a very, you never think about it that way. Even after cooking, it's still,
still there.
I guess a part of a whole, and it's still moving and has life to it.
Right. At what point, where does energy stop and molecules begin? See what I mean? So it's like, if there's something in every cell of us and it doesn't leave when you die, then you have a moving cheeseburger and you have moving chicken nuggets, and food becomes a major issue. Even with insects, pesticides don't work. They continue to eat even though they probably don't need to when they're undead. So now we have crop issues, we have water issues, it's like we have all sorts, and then ethical problems about the undead. Like, once you become undead, how long do you keep your rights? Can you own property? Can you drive cars? Can you own firearms? Can you vote? Where do you go once you become forgetful and unpredictable and a risk to not only yourself, but everybody around you? It's a big problem.
So this only extends to animals, not to plants, right?
Plants, it's the same thing. I mean, they won't continue to grow once they're undead, but I mean, like, they'll still be there. They'll be dead and rotting just like everything else. So I mean, like, plants, it's pretty much the same.
I'm just thinking of the whole ecological aspect of that.
Yeah. What about like viruses and bacteria?
Yeah. Like the whole world is literally in chaos.
Yes. And it is the whole world. It's not one localized place. It's everywhere. It's a problem. But it's what we're going to tackle in this next issue. So issue 3, we actually do a extended flashback. So issue 3, 4, 5, and 6, we're going back in time. So 3, we're going back to the day that death broke, and you'll get to see it through the eyes of Jude St. Clair, who is no longer a cowboy at this point. This is before all that. And we're going to go through about 5 years of the apocalypse in issue 3. So it's great for the narrative. You'll see a lot of immediately what happens, and then everything start to crumble very fast. We're going to see our beloved Big James show up again. He's our undead bear that made a very notable appearance in issue 1, and kind of everybody loves Big James. He's like the mascot now. Everybody loves him. So he'll be back. I actually had a reward tier where someone could get drawn into the comet getting mauled by Big James. Someone got that, so they'll be making an appearance in issue 3, getting their head knocked off, probably something like that. So it's good.
So how long do you see the series going for? Because you already have it tracked up to issue 6.
Yeah, we have 13 issues in kind of the first like if we're talking like a Netflix seasons, right? It's season 1, 2, 3. We have 3 seasons. Season 1 is 13 issues. Season 2 is 12. I've written 9 of those. And then there will be season 3. There is an ending. I have written the ending of the whole thing. So we'll get there eventually. But it's like, it's very cinematic. Me coming from screenplay, you're going to see like an act 1, an act 2, and an act 3 play out in each season, like if it was a full-length movie, something like that we're breaking up into comic book floppies. So like issues 1 through 4 is kind of like the first act, maybe 4 acts, maybe, I don't know. Math, it's great.
No, I get it. Now, I want to ask you, like, what are some of your favorite zombie movies, since we're talking about the quote-unquote undead and just a new take on it?
Well, I mean, it depends on what kind of zombie you're talking about. Always the classic George Romero, right? There were zombies kind of before that, but they really didn't become what they are now until George Romero. So Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, like his slow-moving, very human zombies were still very scary at that time. It wasn't until like the 90s that we got fast zombies, like the remake where they were in the mall. Excellent. That was, that scared the crap out of me, where they were casting people with amputees that were missing limbs. And they were some of these zombies that were like in the garage basement where he was like,
I saw that. Yeah.
Oh, that was so scary. Right. And they were fast. They were running at you with like missing arms. The whole opening for that with the little girl, that will change your life.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen a zombie and you watch that one, oh my God.
No, I agree. I think that one definitely restarted the zombie genre, and it was a perfect movie to do it. You had people come in who were familiar with the original property, and then people who were not. And then you see that you can just really, I loved it being a fan of George Romero, but also just it offered something new and different. It was just done so well. You can't really say that about all remakes or reimaginings of movies, and it was just done so well. And it was a perfect movie come out at the perfect time to really kick everything off as far as that zombie renaissance we had in the early to mid 2000s.
Exactly. So that was kind of at the start of that. Shaun of the Dead was very tongue-in-cheek about the zombie genre. It was like very aware that they were making fun of themselves, but still checked all the boxes of things that to have in a zombie, movie. Where like one's in the house and it's a friend or like the stepdad or whomever. And then like the bar scene where you got pulled through the window and like hilarious movie, terrifying movie. Again, spot on. So there's that one. What else? We had fast moving zombies. We've had infection zombies. So like 28 Days Later, classic. Love that one. Very much a spotlight on quick infection, and then humans, how they would react in a dark way if it was really, the apocalypse and we were acting lawless. You know what I mean? So that one was really an eye-opener. Again, fast zombies. When he got hit in the eye, do you remember that part?
Yes.
The bird was cawing and it was, what's the actor's name? Big one with the beard. He's in everything. He's been in like Harry Potter.
Robbie Coltrane.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
When he got hit in the eye with was it Robbie Coltrane?
No. Gleason.
He played Mad Eye Moody.
Yeah, Gleason. I forget his first name.
That's it. But he's a big guy, and when he got hit in the eye and started turning and couldn't control himself, that was scary. That was so scary, heartbreaking. And if we've learned anything, don't go in the tunnel, right?
Right.
Ooh, don't go in the tunnel, people. But they always do. They always find this tunnel. Even in one of the episodes of Last of Us, he came up to a tunnel, and I was like, he better not go down that tunnel.
Yeah, it's always, even in Walking Dead, there was a tunnel at one point in time.
Of course.
Yeah,
I mean, Walking Dead was a great series for a long time.
It was.
I think it kind of jumped the shark. I think people were unprepared for how brutal Negan was going to be unless they had read the comic.
See, I had read it up at that point, so I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah. We just didn't know who it was going to happen to, right? Because a lot of they were notorious for like changing out deaths. So, but when it happened, there's a lot of people that were like, and I'm done. But it's like, but this is comic accurate, you know? I just recently went back and finished that series. So Alpha was hard to watch. She was hard to, wasn't she?
Yes.
Watching Alpha, I was just like, oh, I can't do it. She's so creepy.
Yeah, I agree.
Train to Busan.
That's a beautiful movie. That is so awesome.
Yeah. There really hasn't been a good new zombie. Like that was, again, when was that? Like 2013, 14, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Right?
I know they did a sequel to it. Which it was good, but it just wasn't the same sort of vein.
Yeah.
They're more action oriented compared to Train to Busan, the original one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they really had none of things hit the pop culture zeitgeist since then. Train to Busan was probably really the last big one that everybody got behind as far as a zombie movie. You know, they're always indie ones. Unfortunately, you always have companies like Saban who make horrible knockoffs.
Yeah. I mean, we're all done with Resident Evil. We're done. We're done with that. Like, do we have to talk about them? We should just move on.
You know.
Tell me your thoughts.
Especially with his passing the couple days ago. It's so bad to think that's like one of the last things I saw him in. And I can't get to the first episode of that Netflix series. I'm like, why? I mean, you got your check, bro. I feel you, but this is.
He's such a great actor, though. They had to do. I mean, if it wasn't for him playing that role, I bet you people would have never watched. Like, they wouldn't have gotten past episode. I
would have started watching it. Period, if he wasn't in that series.
I mean, we as horror fans and Resident Evil fans, we're always like, they're gonna get it right with the next one. They don't.
Right. Right. You know, we keep hoping.
Yeah, exactly. And when it's like Lance Reddick is in there, we're like, yes, and then we're like, no. Why is he in Olive Garden? What is going on?
What is this giant caterpillar thing?
Oh, it was bad. I was like, this is how we're starting? Okay.
Right.
Nobody likes Jade. Nobody likes her. It was bad.
Nope.
But Last of Us has been really good for zombie genre, for helping me too, where it's like, I'm a zombie genre. A lot of people hear zombie genre and they're just out, where they're like, no, zombies are not a thing anymore. Like, you need to move on. But it's like, understand my concept. We're a lot different than what you're used to, and you've never seen this before. You know what I mean? So it kind of helps when zombies are popular for people to at least give us a look. Also, Cocaine Bear coming out was great for us too. Because Big James is on like all of our covers, so people are like, hey, it's a big undead bear. We love him. I'm like, he'll eat your face, but all right.
That sounds really great. So let me ask you this question. How much of a time period has it been between issues 2 and issues 3? As far as like publication?
So we kickstarted issue 2 in September. It was like end of September to end of October.
Okay.
So the book was finished in January. We actually we did black and white for issue number 1. We were right on the cusp of getting to a stretch goal for color for 2. We went ahead and did the color. So we took an extra 3 weeks to color the comic. So it's been done, and the PDF has been sent to everybody. It went to print, and my printer has pooped the bed. There's no other way to put it. We think they were printed and they're lost. So it's been great. So I'm going to have to actually reprint all of my issue 2 books.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I don't like talking negative about anybody. I'm not a printer. I don't understand the process. But in the same light, it's like, come on, guys, everybody's waiting for their books. Let's figure this out. So at this point, I'm working really closely with my publisher because it's their printer who like disappeared. We want to make sure first that he's still alive, right?
Gotcha,
And then after that, it's like, okay, where they printed? Did you ship them and they got lost? Where's the tracking number? Because the last thing I want to do is place another order and then they'll show up and I have to reject them because I can't double pay. I can't afford that. I'm an indie. The other thing about going with a new printer is I'm going to have to reformat all the books because they all print it a little differently. They all format a little differently. So, I mean, if that's what I need to do, I'll do it. It's just unfortunate and time consuming, but I was hoping to go a little quicker, but it's just things that are outside of my control. Trying to stay positive. People will get their books for 2. Issue 3, we won't have that problem because we're not even going to mess with that printer. We're going somewhere else.
Got you. Understood.
Plus, we brought on a colorist. So there's myself and Marco that created books 1 and 2. In book 3, we have another team member. So every time Marco finishes the page, it'll go to Marta, and Marta will color it, and then it comes to me for lettering, and it's a whole lot quicker than waiting for Marco to finish the book and then go back and color the book.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was asking because currently with issue 3, how it's been only Kickstarter's only been up 3 days, and you're pretty much 90+% to your goal. One thing I found, especially when you have developed a fan base, they tend to wait and salivate at the next issue, and as soon as it comes out, they jump on it immediately. And as someone who's backed comics before, especially series, I've waited anywhere from 3 months to 2 years between issues with some series, and I was like, "Oh, it's up! Click, click, click!" As soon as it comes on, let me put in my donation on my bid now. So that just really is a testament of how well received, in my opinion, issues 1 and 2 have been by your fan base, and how you're growing and expanding that fan base as well, with issue 3 pretty much all the way there. And let's be realistic, knock on plywood right here, is going to reach that goal and probably then some at this point in time. So I wish you you and the team all the success in the world.
Thank you. Yes. Like I said, I'm floored. The first 2 issues was just typical campaign. Like you have a very good like first and second day, and you kind of plateau, but it's like 1 or 2 come in for the next couple of weeks, and then you skyrocket again at the end. Our goal has always stayed the same. We run a budget of $4,550. It actually takes a little bit more than that to produce a color issue with the art team that I have, but we usually end up like 112, 114% to goal, which works. So our goal is the same this time. It's 4,550. So we'll see what percentage we end at. I am so encouraged because that means that we can do stuff like go back and color issue number 1, or maybe I don't have to absorb too much of the cost of the reprint. Right? Because that's a thing. So we'll see where we end up. I'm having fun. I don't care where we end up. I'm just happy people are reading the story and having a good time with all of the extra things that we do, because we do a lot of shenanigans.
Well, shenanigans are fun, and that's what makes comics fun, in my opinion. For me, Kickstarter has been just a wonderful way to support people that I know and have met over the years, and support their creations, as well as discovering new comics as well. I think just with the self-publishing avenues that are available, it's just more fun as a reader to find books that you never would have thought you could have read as a kid when you first got into comics. And again, nothing wrong with reading, and again, I'm 44, so I got in early mid 90s. So literally it's X-Men, Spider-Man, and Superman. You got the big ones, and this is before even Image, and we really knew about Dark Horse, and you had Comico and some of the other ones that end up being on comic racks every now and again. You're like, what is this? But now it's, you go on the internet, you can go to conventions, even comic book shops. It's just, you can find all of these independent books and find all these wonderful stories that would never ever see the light through mainstream lenses. And it's just so awesome and amazing. And I really thank you for your time today, Laurie. It's really been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Can I mention a couple things before we end?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So in addition,
we're not done yet.
Okay. I was like, are you ending? I was like, oh no. So I wanted to talk about the shenanigans.
Okay, yeah, shenanigans.
All right. So with every comic book that comes out, let me back up. So the world that I built is so big that there's a lot of stuff that happens. And if our protagonist is walking a certain path to the store and he doesn't encounter some of these things, I don't get to tell that story. You know what I mean? It's told from his point of view.
Right.
So we decided early on that we would give the readers a chance to experience more things from the world with additional mediums. Hence the shenanigans. So every issue that comes out, the back cover is a riddle. And if you solve the riddle, it leads you to something in the real world. So either a location online, a phone number to call, who knows where that will lead, websites for you to hack, hidden YouTube videos. Issue 2, when you solve that riddle, you get a interaction with the character. I'm planning old radio shows,
awesome.
all sorts of stuff. Because, like I said, it's so big. There's more things to encounter and enjoy besides just the main storyline. That's the meat and potatoes. That's what's going to get you to the answer, because we will tell you the answer of what broke Death. You'll find it. However, I don't want you to miss out all the stuff that goes along that he's not seeing, right? So there's that. And plus, since I come from production, I want to make short films. I love doing that. So we explore more of the world with these short films, and they're fan interactive. So if you want to be in the short film, you can be. I usually put out the theme or a shot list that I'm looking for. Right now, I'm looking for people to send me pictures of themselves being dead on the ground. You could take a picture of yourself with your camera phone and send it to me, and you'll be in the next short film. So we've done a couple of those. Like we did a commercial for an undead retirement community. The second one we did, I dressed up as a reporter. We ran a news report interviewing people like, what do you think broke Death? And people could say whatever they wanted. It was really funny. Some people had like really thought out answers too. They were like, it's food, it's vaccines, chemicals, government conspiracy theory, aliens. Other people were like, it's voodoo pygmies. And I was like, oh, okay. Like that's a little reaching, but cool. We'll put it in. And I usually do stunts in these. So, there's usually some, like I think in number 2, I got run over by a car. So if you want to see me get squished a few times, it's in the short films.
Okay. And where can you find the short films?
There are a couple places. Like if you go to the Kickstarter page and you scroll to the bottom, I always show like the previous riddles and the previous short films. So they're all in one place. If you want to see just the short films, they're on my YouTube page. It's just my name, Laurie Calcaterra. So type that in, but you're going to get other stuff. Like you'll get my martial art videos and stuff too. But they're all there. So they're fun though. There's the blooper reel is up on the YouTube page as well. From the conspiracy theory one where everybody was just messing up and it was a good time. And I'm currently working on the third one now. It's a psychological horror. So it should be interesting. I did a little drone camera work. We'll see how it turns out. I'm still working on it.
Well, I like that aspect of it. I love the audience participation part of it.
Yeah.
It definitely helps to draw people in, and it gets people to invest into your story as well, even though like they're already investing because they're buying your book, but even more so, they become part of the experience as well. And I think that's a really cool idea.
Mm-hmm. Fun. It's fun. And it's not like there's a stretch goal for the short film. There's no stretch goal for the riddle. It's just always part of Path of the Pale Rider. It's always something we are going to do. I think it's so much fun, and I want to continue doing those as long as I can. And I'm still thinking of new things every day to do as like extra experiences or answers to the riddle. The riddle for 3 is a lot of fun. It's not so much having to solve a riddle. It's more like perseverance. The answer is on the back cover. You just have to find it. I'll just leave it at that.
Understood.
Yeah.
So, Laurie, tell everyone where they can find Path of the Pale Rider.
Oh, dude, we're everywhere. So the main group where I participate in is the Facebook group. You just have to request access to it. I think you have to answer one question, which is like, do you like comic books? It's just to make sure that there's no scammers coming in. That's where we do like the I ask questions, we play games. Today we were building a song playlist for the theme songs for Path of the Pale Rider, and it's like Hey Jude by the Beatles, and You Can't Kill Us by Glitch Mob, Live and Let Die by Guns N' Roses. It's like, it's just fun, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that's usually where I put my updates first. That's the group that gets the most interaction. I am on Instagram and on TikTok, the same handle. It's at Path of the Pale Rider with an underscore between all the words. It's like the longest handle on the planet, but it's at least the same as everybody else. It's the same. I have a website. It's www.pathofthepalerider.com. I have a blog on there that nobody reads, so that's fun. I'm on Twitter at PathPaleRider. I'm just now really starting to spend more time on Twitter. It's a great community on there. It's weird how people don't usually cross, they're all very specific social media. Like there's a Twitter community,
yes.
There's a Facebook community, there's an Instagram community. It's interesting to see who moves in which circle. And it's hard to be good at more than one.
That is very true.
So I'm spending more time on Twitter as of, this campaign. So it's been fun. I've been meeting new people and picking new brains, and it's a good time. So, yeah. So I think that's it. I think that's all my socials.
If you're watching this on YouTube, when you see this, all those links will be in the show notes or be in the description. So you have to go like, what did she say? What'd she say? It'll be all right there for you to click on.
I mean, if you search Path of the Pale Rider or Laurie Calcaterra, you'll find me. I have a show on Tuesdays. It's called the Tuesday Morning Brew. It's on the Comic Relatedness Network on Facebook. I think on YouTube channel. It's like Comic Talk with Pops Van Zant. So I interview other comic indie creators, actresses, actors, publishers, artists, writers, all of those. So it's fun too. We just get to meet new people and build community, which is fun.
Yeah, this is something I enjoy about this as well. Just meeting new people and building community also.
Right.
Well,
Absolutely.
Thank you again, Laurie. I appreciate it. And don't forget, check out that Kickstarter. Tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Take care. And I really appreciate Laurie stopping through with that great interview. And really, the whole premise of Path of the Pale Rider is just intriguing. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily a zombie story, because they're not zombies. They're still alive and decaying. And the fact that it not only extends, or it's not just human beings, but it extends to all living animals it's really fascinating and scary at the same time. So make sure you check out the Kickstarter link for that and check out the other issues as well. Let's go on to some fragrances now. I stopped through Black American Market a few weeks ago and tested out for fragrances, and one of the fragrances that I checked out was Yo Mama by My Signature Scent. You can get a 15 ml bottle for $50. Now this is one that if you're of a certain age, it will remind you of your mama or your grandmama or your great grandmama, depending on how old you are, and that one perfume they always wore, especially when you were going to church, and their purses smelled like it too. This is has a lot of traditional notes like Lily of the Valley, and it really harkens back to, say, Elizabeth Taylor's White Diamonds or Chanel No. 5. It is very much an old school throwback, and it was so weird smelling it because my great grandmother, I smelled her in many respects. Not so much my grandmother or my mom, but it smelled like my great grandmother. That was a smell that everything smelled like when you open her purse to dig for candy, get a piece of candy out at church. Like, that's the smell that emanated from it. That sort of Lily of the Valley scent, that old school classic perfume scent. So if you are especially talking to a lot of my vintage heads out there, talked to a few lately, interviews coming soon. We'll check them out on YouTube already, who are very much into that sort of classic smell, classic style, Chanel No. 5, White Diamonds, so on and so forth. This is definitely a fragrance that I would suggest you checking out. This is strictly for the ladies. I would say strictly. I would say, gentlemen, this may not be a fragrance that you would want to wear, but if you're looking for something maybe for someone who's into sort of vintage smells and styles, or just someone who is a older lady in your life, this would definitely be a perfect gift for them, in my opinion, because it definitely harkens back to that old school fragrance that everybody's mama and grandmama had on back in the day. So that is my take on Yo Mama, which is appropriately named considering of what it brings back as far as my memory is concerned by my signature scent. What I'm wearing today is velour from Maison de Darius. This is a discontinued one, but it has beautiful notes of caramel, vanilla, and oud, and is one that I absolutely love, and it's one that's very unisex. It actually smells like another fragrance that I purchased my wife many years ago from another vendor, but it definitely has similar vibes, but this one is just, it's so nice, it's so sexy, and I love how the caramel and the oud and vanilla really mix together on this one. So too bad he doesn't make it anymore. But speaking of fragrances and other things, how can you support us? Well, you can definitely support us by becoming a member on the Patreon for just $1, $3, or $5 a month. Become a producer of different tiers, unlocking different content that you will not find anywhere else on the web. Also, check us out at check out Pete and Pedro. I've talked enough times about Villain, and really all of their fragrances are really great. $50 for 50 mLs. They are inspired by very well-known designer fragrances, and all of them are well worth the $50. The Ulysses S. Grant, if I remember correctly. I may have my denominations wrong as far as that is concerned, but you will definitely get your money's worth. And as well as you're looking for high quality hair products as well, check them out also. Try them out using my discount code EHawks10 or the link in below to get 10% off of your purchase. Or if you're looking for an energy drink, you're somebody like me, you're burning midnight oil, you need that extra boost, and you don't want to drink coffee, and you don't want to down all of these sugary energy drinks, Red Bulls, Monsters, what have you. Check out Dubby. Try them. Get yourself a sample pack. I think it's one's for like $16 or so. I forget exactly how much it costs right now. But try them out for a lower price by using my code WebsterMan or the link in below and the show notes to get 10% off your first purchase. And well, you can find me all around the web. I am everywhere when it comes to the interwebs. You can find me, of course, over with Nerds Rule the World twice a week On the regular, you also find me doing reactions with my man Brian Sav and the legend Kuya P, or Hot or Not with Brian Sav and Flip the Bunny. But more importantly, you're definitely going to find me twice a week. One, talking about the latest in gaming with the NRW Checkpoint, where Brian and I talk about all of the prominent new releases, watch trailers, give out opinions and impressions, and sometimes get off on gaming news as well. And then you can check me out with the legend Kuya P, as well as voiceover artist Sean Mongold on Kayfabe Baby, the Ring Generals, the NRW Ring Generals podcast, talking about, well, wrestling every week, something we are very passionate about. So that's where you can find me on Nerds We Will. But of course, you can find me right here on the Satori and Geek podcast. You can find me on Instagram at Webster Style and Satori and Geek, on Twitter at Webster Style, and of course on TikTok at _Webster Style. And of course, anything and everything that is Webster Style can be found at www.websterstyle.com. And of course, if you want to get out with me, drop me an email at info@websterstylemagazine.com. Thank you again for your time. Thank you for your listening ear. And remember, stay safe out there and be blessed.
Under them scenes, 'cause no one man should have all that styling. Take it off, clothes on the floor piling. No one girl should fit it all in them jeans. So take it off and let me see what's under them scenes. Let's see what it seems. If it is what it seems. Do it again. Chicks be looking thick leggings, you know what I mean? Oh. Take a hint though, don't try to get me at a moment. Coat mint though, smoking hot, rocking this pin so thin. Tie hairline, looking like a stint so pimp. No lie, I'm sharper than a utensil. Instrumental, plain dang, homie. I was hoping we could walk out with that bang bang, honey. See them plain James, honey. Them lame frames, funny. We tell it fitted crazy like that thing came on me. Hey, mommy, look a lady, main thing. Want me on the scene, fit popping like a main vein, running blood color lips, smashing with the hand clutch money, holding back. Kinda funny, can you tell me what's the price tag of the Range Rover? Hang on me when we walking, looking Gucci like that thing sprayed on me. Walking with a limp like an ankle sprained on me. Yeah, I rock the cardigan, she don't really want me because one man should have all that styling. Take it out, clothes on the floor piling. No one girl should fit it all in them jeans. So take it off and let me see what's under them scenes. 'Cause no one man should have all that styling. Take it off, clothes on the floor piling. No one girl should fit it all in them jeans. So take it up and let me see what's under them scenes. Hey, let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Ain't mopping on the middle alone. Ain't mopping on the middle alone. 'Cause no one man should have all that styling. Take it off, clothes on the floor piling. No one girl should fit it all in them jeans. So take it up and let me see what's under them scenes. Oh, you wanted to? Oh, I completely read that wrong.